Christmas is known for its warm and festive atmosphere. Twinkling lights that transform the streets, the sweet aroma of freshly baked cookies and the soft sound of Christmas carols echoing in the background. It is a time when families gather, friends exchange gifts, and joy seems to be everywhere. However, behind this facade of happiness and magic, there are stories that few dare to tell. Real accounts of nights that began as ordinary Christmas celebrations and ended in pure terror. Have you ever stopped to think that even the most joyful dates can hide dark secrets? When the lights go out, the laughter dies down and the silence sets in, what is left? Some believe that Christmas, with all its symbolism, is a time when the veil between our world and the unknown becomes thinner. That is why, sometimes, inexplicable events occur precisely at this time. Moments of fear so intense that they stay with those who experience them forever. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 real horror stories that happened at Christmas. Stories from ordinary people, like you and me, who had their lives forever marked by terrifying experiences that no one could explain. You may think you're safe in the warmth of your home, but these stories prove that danger can be anywhere. In the shade of a Christmas tree, in the snow outside, or even in the music that plays non-stop. As you listen to each of these stories, imagine for a moment that something like this could happen to you. Close your eyes and visualize. The house decorated with bright lights, the family gathered together, and then, a strange sound coming from the empty hallway, a knock on the door in the middle of the night, or the feeling that someone, or something, is watching. What would you do if your Christmas, a symbol of joy and togetherness, turned into a nightmare? As disturbing as it may seem, the stories you'll hear today are real. They were experienced by people who, to this day, are trying to understand what happened. Some bear physical scars, while others never overcome the psychological trauma. You may think these are just coincidences or urban legends, but by the end of this video, you'll have to decide for yourself. What happens when the Christmas lights give way to shadows? Now, get ready. Close the curtains, adjust the volume, and, if you can, turn on only the lights you need. Christmas can be magical, but it can also be scary. And our first story will take us to a house where the lights, which should shine with joy, have gone out forever. In the heart of a small town in the American Midwest, there was a house that had become a symbol of the Christmas season. For years, the Collins family had transformed their home into a dazzling spectacle. Lights twinkled in time with classical music, glittering ornaments adorned every corner, and visitors came from all over to admire their work. But on Christmas Day 1998, something changed. The house, which had once been a beacon of joy, remained in darkness. There were no decorations, no lights flashing, and no sign of the family. It seemed strange to the neighbors, but no one knew exactly what was going on inside the house. The first signs that something was wrong began in early December. At that time, it was common to hear laughter or see the Collinses arranging the decorations. But this year, the house seemed dead. Harris, the closest neighbor, found the situation unsettling. One day, while making tea in the early hours of the morning, he saw something he never forgot. A tall, thin figure standing in the Collins garden. She didn't move, she didn't make a sound, she just watched. When he blinked, the figure disappeared. Convinced he had seen something unusual, he mentioned the incident to Mr. Collins, who just shrugged and laughed, saying that Harris was probably tired and had mistaken a shadow for something else. A few days later, Alice, the youngest daughter, made a desperate call to her best friend, Sophie. Whispering, Alice said that the lights in the house were flickering on their own, even though they were turned off. Before she could explain, the line dropped, and Sophie could no longer reach her. The next morning, the Collinses simply disappeared. Neither of them was seen entering or leaving the house, and an eerie silence fell over the property. But at night, something strange happened. The outside lights flickered erratically, as if following a mysterious pattern. The glow was faint and pulsating, unlike the vibrant spectacle of previous years. Some people reported hearing sounds coming from the house. Footsteps, whispers, and even laughter. On Christmas Eve, Amanda Collins' brother decided to visit the family, worried about the lack of news. When he arrived, he found the door locked and no one answered his knocks. In desperation, he called the police, who arrived shortly after. The officers noticed that the house was strangely quiet, but the outside lights, covered in a dark, sticky substance, were still flickering. When they finally opened the door, they found the interior impeccably organized. There were no signs of a struggle, but no one was there either. When they explored the house, they found the attic in complete chaos. Scratch marks covered the walls, and in the center of the room sat an intact snow globe. When one of the officers picked up the object, it began to play an unusual, disturbing and disconcerting melody. As soon as the music ended, the lights in the house went out completely, and the attic was filled with oppressive darkness. Although the investigation lasted for months, no concrete evidence was found. The Collins family was never seen again, and the case remains a mystery. The snow globe, the only item removed from the house, remains in a police safe, and no one dares to use it. Over the years, the house has been abandoned. Residents who pass by have reported seeing shadows in the windows, hearing unexplained sounds, or feeling a presence. Many believe that the Collinses never left the place. And at Christmas, to this day, the house, once so bright and festive, remains completely silent, a somber reminder of the mystery that has never been solved. Era vespera de Natal quando a familia Thompson decidiu passar o feriado antigo cheio nas montanhas. O lugar, afastado da cidade e rodeado por florestas densas, parecia o refugio perfeito para escapar do caos urbano. A neve caía suavemente, cobrindo tudo com uma camada branca e silenciosa, enquanto o fogo de lareira iluminava a sala com brilho quente. Lauren e Peter Thompson, junto com seus dois filhos pequenos, estavam determinados a ter Natal especial, longe de distracos e perto do outro. No inicio, tudo parecia perfeito. As crianças, Emma e Oliver, montavam a pequena árvore de Natal trazida as pressas na mala do carro, enquanto Peter preparava chocolate quente na cozinha. Lauren olhava pela janela, admirando como a neve refletia a luz da lua. O céu tinha ar acolhido, apesar de estar velho e ligeiramente desgastado. No entanto, à medida que a noite avançava, uma estranha sensação começou a tomar conta do lugar. A primeira coisa que chamou a atenção de Lauren foi o silêncio. Era normal que a região fosse tranquila, mas aquilo era diferente. Não havia o som do vento ou de animais na floresta. Era como se tudo ao redor tivesse parado. Sentindo arrepio subir pela espinha, ela afastou o pensamento e se juntou à família para a ceia improvisada. Mas enquanto comam, som abafado veio de porta de frente, três batidas lentas e firmes. Peter parou de mastigar e olhou para Lauren, que parecia tão confusa quanto ele. Já passava de meia-noite e ninguém, além deles, sabia que estavam ali. Talvez seja alguém perdido, murmurou Peter, levantando-se para abrir a porta. Quando girou a maquinita, encontrou apenas o vazio. Lá fora, a neve estava intactada, sem pedaço ou qualquer sinal de movimento. Intrigado, Peter fechou a porta e tentou tranquilizar a família. Deve ter sido o vento ou galho batendo. As crianças voltaram a brincar, mas Lauren não conseguia afastar a sensação de que estavam sendo observados. Minutos depois, as batidas recomeçaram. Desta vez mais fortes. Três batidas. Peter correu a porta, Abriue rapidament e, novamente, neo havia nada. Anive ao redder continuava intacta. Sem Marcus. Mas algo chamo sua atencao. No chao, bem no limite solera. Havia uma pequena caixa embrulhada papel vermelho. Neo tinha etiqueta ou remetente. Lauren pego a caixa com cuidado e a levo para a sala, onde a coloco sobre a mesa. Peter sugeriu jogo lá fora. Mas a curiosidade falou mais alto. Quando abrimos o embrulho, encontramos pequeno banico de madeira, esculpido com detalhes grotescos. O rosto do banico era torto, com olhos afundados e sorriso largo demais. Mesmo parado, parecia que o banico os observava. Oliver, curioso, estendo a mão para pegá-lo, mas Lauren o afasto. Neo toque nisso, ela sussurrou. Naquele momento, as luzes da casa piscaram. O fogo na lareira diminuiu e vento gelado passou pela sala. Embora todas as portas e janelas estivessem fechadas, as batidas na porta recomeçaram. Agora mais rápidas e agressivas. Peter pegou uma lanterna e saiu para investigar, mas voltou alguns minutos depois, pálido e trêmulo. Neo tem ninguém lá fora. Mas tem pegadas agora. E eles veio da floresta. Lauren olhou para os filhos, que estavam assustados e abracados no sofá. A casa parecia mais fria, e os ruídos do lado de fora se intensificavam. Sons de passos ecoavam no telhado, acompanhados por arranjos lentos nas paredes externas do chale. De repente, Oliver aponta para a janela. Tem algo mole. Lauren olhou e viu uma sombra alta, imóvel, observando a través do vidro embacado. Sem pensa duas vezes. Peter trancou todas as portas e janelas. Eles se reuniram na sala, com as crianças no centro, enquanto os ruídos aumentavam. As batidas recomeçaram, agora todas as paredes. Como se dezenas de mãos socassem chale ao mesmo tempo. O banico de madeira, esquecido sobre a mesa, caiu no chão, mas ninguém musu tocá-lo. As horas passaram lentamente. 8 pouco antes do amanhecer, o sun cessaram. A família ficou ali, encolhida. 8 a luz do sol iluminou o chale. Peter foi o primeiro a sair, para verificar a área. Na neve, ao redor da casa, havia pegadas enormes que terminavam abruptamente no meio da floresta, como se a criatura tivesse desaparecido. Eles deixaram o chale naquela mesma manhã, sem olhar para trás. O banico de madeira ficou lá, abandonado no canto da sala. Mais tarde, subiram que o chale tinha histórico macabro. Décadas antes, uma família inteira desaparecera no Natal, deixando para trás apenas pegadas na neve banico idêntico ao que eles encontraram. Desde então, o chale permanece vazio, mas alguns dizem que, nas noites de Natal, se você ouvir três batidas na porta, é melhor não abrir. In the small town of Woodhaven, the streets were empty on Christmas Eve. The harsh winter had covered everything in a thick layer of snow, and most people were preparing to celebrate indoors, away from the bitter cold. But for the Richardson family, this Christmas would be different. That night brought with it a tension no one could have anticipated. Diana and Mark Richardson were an ordinary couple with a 10-year-old daughter named Lily. They had just moved into an old house down the street, a Victorian that exuded charm and history, but also an uneasy sense of something unfinished. When the couple bought the house, they had been warned about local rumors, that the place was cursed, that whoever lived there would always face great loss. But Diana and Mark didn't believe these old stories. They were more concerned with the necessary renovations than the whispers of ghosts. On Christmas Eve, after a long night of preparing for the holiday, Diana sat at the dinner table, watching Lily play with her Christmas toys. That was when she noticed something strange. A box decorated with a red bow was sitting on the table, where it had not been before. The box, the size of a regular gift, seemed plain at first glance, but the bow was tied very neatly, and the paper was impeccably smooth, without any marks or wrinkles. "This wasn't here before," Diana muttered, standing up to take the gift. When she looked at Mark, he too looked puzzled. "I didn't buy this for Lily," he said, disconcerted. Diana carefully removed the wrapping paper, revealing a small wooden box with fine, almost artistic carvings. On the lid of the box was a symbol that looked ancient, as if it were something from a distant time. Inside the box was a porcelain doll, with glassy eyes and a rigid smile on its face. Lily was fascinated by the gift and, without hesitation, picked up the doll. When she held it, the house was filled with an unnatural feeling of cold. Diana looked at Mark, feeling a shiver down her spine. It was then that they heard the sound of a door creaking upstairs. Mark ran up the stairs and looked up to the second floor, but there was no one there. "It must be the wind," he said, but Diana was not convinced. For the rest of the evening, the mood in the house seemed to change. The fireplace crackled as usual, but the air was heavy, as if someone were watching. Lily began to play with her doll, but Diana noticed something strange in the child's eyes. She seemed absorbed, mesmerized by the porcelain figure, her eyes fixed and empty. When Mark tried to call his daughter to open the presents under the tree, Lily did not respond. She continued to play with the doll, moving it from side to side, but without saying a word. Suddenly, the sound of a soft whisper came from Lily's room. Diana ran there, her heart pounding. When she entered her daughter's room, what she saw left her speechless. Lily was standing, with the doll in her hand, looking at the mirror on the wall, as if she were talking to someone. "Lily, what are you doing?" Diana asked, her tone tense. Lily turned slowly, her eyes fixed on Diana, but the smile on her face was wrong, forced, as if it wasn't really hers. "She told me to wait," Lily replied, her voice in a tone Diana didn't recognize. At that moment, Mark rushed into the room and found Diana frozen, watching Lily, who seemed increasingly strange. He tried to speak to his daughter, but got no response. "Lily, are you okay?" Mark asked, but it was as if the girl didn't hear him. Suddenly, the doll began to move on its own in Lily's hands. The doll's eyes glowed, and the sinister smile widened even more, as if it were alive. Diana felt dread take hold of her. She tried to pull the doll from Lily's hand, but the child held it tightly, screaming. The child's sound was replaced by something deeper, an icy whisper that seemed to come from the doll itself. "She wants to be with you forever," the doll whispered, its voice hissing and distorted. Diana screamed, trying to push the doll away, but it was as if an invisible force stopped her. The room seemed to shrink around them, and the air became thick and unbreathable. Mark grabbed the doll from Lily's hand and, with a desperate thrust, threw it out the window. Immediately, the atmosphere in the house seemed to calm down. But the damage had already been done. In the days that followed, Lily would not stop talking about the doll. She spoke as if it were still there in the house, watching her. And even worse, the doll, which had been thrown away, reappeared in Lily's bedroom window every morning, with the same empty eyes. A few days later, the Richardson family left the Woodhaven house without looking back. No one knows what happened to the doll or if there really was a supernatural presence there, but one thing is certain. Since that Christmas, the house has been marked by an eerie silence, and no resident has wanted to approach the place. They say that on Christmas Eve, if you walk by the house, you can still hear the sound of a doll whispering softly. And so, These terrifying stories remind us that Christmas can hide mysteries and horrors that defy our understanding. If you were as creeped out as we were, don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, so they can also discover the dark side of this festive season. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more scary stories. Who knows what else is waiting to be revealed? Until next time.